any of you that have ever pulled a transmission knows exactly what happened. Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage. And that's a 4Runner on a trailer. We did that Lexus episode where we were trying to do a quick fix, band-aid something back together and get our friend back on the road. There went the accumulator I was waiting on. We do have the option to go ahead and run the gold shim, and that's just gonna give us maximum pressure. So after doing all that work and finding out our transmission had no reverse and really nothing after third gear to go forward, oh, well that's not good. Complete and absolute and total fail. We had to get something fixed and I was just gonna do it, but a lot of you in the comments said, hey, how are you gonna fix it? We'd love to see it. Well, this is gonna be a really big part of how we're gonna fix it, but to get it here, we have to go pick it up and tow it, which means I finally get to put a trailer behind Powder Keg, our 1992 OBS Chevy 3500 camper special. It's a long bed, 5-speed NV 4500 and a big block. So this is just a little bit different off the cuff. We're gonna get a lot of technical. We're gonna make some progress. We're hopefully gonna fix a Lexus. And we're gonna see if that truck that I need to tow can actually tow. So let's cue some country roads, some questionable loading of a 4Runner, and then we'll get you right back here into the shop where we're gonna get started working. Now, you may not always be surrounded by a 454 cubic inch big block in a Nissan 300ZX or a Hellcat shoved in a Dodge Charger Ute making those sweet, sweet sounds. You may be trying to go ahead and listen to your favorite YouTuber or a podcast or some music. And nothing is worse than a bad set of earbuds. Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Raycon, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Now, you've seen the Raycon Everyday Earbuds on the channel quite a bit, and that's because I promote what I use and what I love. And the Raycon Everyday Earbuds fit perfectly. One of the biggest features they pack in is the active noise cancellation. Recently on an airplane, I had to pull them out for a second to talk to the flight attendant and get my drink. And I was amazed at just how loud everything around me is. And while the Everyday Earbuds may not protect you from the hearing damage that you would get from a 454 cubic inch straight headered vehicle, they do protect you from the annoying noises in life. And with easy to use touch controls, you're able to answer phone calls, skip to the next track, make it louder, make it quieter, change modes, all with your fingertips. And while they are already a value option priced way above or below, way below the competitors, you're gonna be able to save up to 30% during the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. And it's so easy to take advantage of. Link in the description box, or you just head on over to buyraycon.com/questionable to be eligible for that offer. Plus at that price point, you're gonna wanna get the whole family a pair, so you're not fighting over one. You don't wanna keep putting things in each other's ear holes. That's weird. So to make it easy to tell apart, they've got different cases. I've got the Galaxy on mine. They've got slate concrete. They got bright colors. Add them to your life. You will not be disappointed. They have so many features at an insane price point. And thanks to the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, you're saving even more, up to 30% off. Buyraycon.com/questionable. Links always in the description box below. Thanks Raycon for sponsoring this video and your continued support of the channel. And you guys should support them too because it's a awesome product. I wouldn't be telling you to put something in your ear if I wouldn't put it in my ear. Back to the video. There is our prize for our first trip. That has the same transmission as the Lexus. It's a little moldy, and once it's at the shop,
we'll be able to show you exactly why this thing was parked and is just a parts donor to get another car running. Doing work, we got 2 flat tires to go up. Any of you who knows this generation Toyota, you might guess, if I've got a bunch of brake fluid and it's still a mostly empty brake reservoir, why this thing maybe was parked. Any other guesses on maybe why this is a parts donor? We're just gonna slam the transmission in reverse and drive repeatedly, the part we need to be good. We need to get some parts off of this, and I'm curious, have you guys figured out why this thing was taken off the road yet? Just from those little bits and crumbles. If you haven't figured it out yet, you're about to see the moment this thing is on the lift. Yeah, this is from down south. This is gonna put you, it's gonna be very familiar for all you northerners, your Rust Belt guys. Suspension arm, that's not really attached well, barely. My lifting point, that makes me... We're not gonna be under here more than we need to. I'm going to get the tools I need. We are gonna cut some stuff. We're gonna knock out our drive shafts real quick. We're gonna cut the exhaust, get our torque converter unbolted, undo our electrical connectors, and get this thing pulled as fast as possible and just get this out of here. Like, it's... Holy... It is broken clean through. There's maybe 2 inches of frame right there. And what's interesting is Toyota had a recall for their trucks, but apparently the 4Runner, they don't have the same problems. They didn't qualify for it. This was a result of poor treatment, inadequate treatment of the metal when they put it together. So a lot of them did this. Oh my gosh. You northerners, for a car this new, this is bad even for you. Battery went dead on the time lapse, and I figured that's okay. Let's just hurry up and get this thing out. Oh wait, I'm kneeling too much, you can't even see me. There's the frame rot, and then there's just a little bit of small amount of northern rot. And this transmission does not want to come off this engine. I got the transfer case off. I was gonna pull them all together, but I'm having to jerk and pry and pull so much, I figured I'd make it a little bit shorter just in case something went really wrong. We're gonna go with the big pry bar, try to position myself so I can escape. Good news is, worst case, we've got a bell housing. It's not even trying. We've got a bell housing on the other transmission. Also, something else broke. That's gonna be a pain in the butt, but I'm gonna lower the car a smidge. I thought for a second maybe I lost, like missed a bolt. I don't see a bolt anywhere. I'm running out of ideas, guys. I mean, I've looked 4 different times. I see no bolts left. To my knowledge, it's 6 total bell housing bolts, 4 bolts into the oil pan. Those are all out. I almost left the really gross rusty thing, and in my head it was like, no, let's do it right. Can I even get my air hammer in a reasonable spot to beat on this thing? Guys, why does anyone live in the salt belt? Like, I'd nope out pretty quickly. This was just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Wait, is that a little separation? I can't quite. Ow! Owie. Pinch my finger. Alright. Will you wiggle for me now? Whoa. Slow down there, Jack. And good news, transmission smells great. All that is encouraging. Man. The only thing I got to look forward to, hopefully, to my knowledge, that other truck's been in the Southwest its whole life. Okay, come on. You're wiggling on me now. We're almost there. It only took my second biggest pry bar. Come on. Come on. So is behaving like there's another bolt, but there's not. Okay, we got more gap. We got small pry bar in. Okay, we're free on this side. Come on, come on. Oh my goodness, so much sand and corrosion falling down. Come on, you. Come on. You can do it for me. Come on. Oh, we're there. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. Stop leaking everywhere. Scotty got me this nice trans jack so I don't get squished under cars anymore. That was very appreciated. We have a coolant pipe leak. That's what contributed to our corrosion. Let's go for a ride. So, on the shift cable on the inside, where it actually engages park in your gears, your cable attaches right here. And I thought about undoing the lever and leaving the cable, keeping that lever attached, because that nut looked really questionable. Well, I didn't. I decided to take that nut off, and that shaft broke. I don't remember how easy or how hard that shaft is to remove, but we got to do it now. We know all our clutches are good in this transmission. The bell housing actually did come off with without too much damage, so we're just going to clean that up really good. But we got to get the Lexus in here, get its broken trans out, take its good valve body, We're gonna take everything except the new solenoid from this one, put it in the Lexus valve body, fix our shift lever, put that valve body in here, put this in the Lexus, and hopefully we'll have Scotty and his wife back on the road. And this 4Runner is gonna be going to the scrapyard. We're gonna get the engine out of it. There's a couple projects that can probably go to, but that was just from working on it. So I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna get this outside, contemplate life choices, and get the Lexus in here and do it all over again. Any of you that have ever pulled a transmission knows exactly what happened. Somehow the transmission, the bell housing that was not hermetically sealed to the engine block, hung the torque converter. I've not had a torque converter stick in a very, very, very long time. That was kind of obnoxious, but it happens. We've got kitty litter. But if you notice, yes, transmission's out. The Lexus, unlike the 4Runner, has the manual engagement on the transfer case. Also, it has a frame. So I worked under this feeling a lot more confident. All of the bolts, you know, exhaust, everything. It came apart so nicely. So nicely. But that's where we're going next. Now, if you recall, Jared is trying to do things the right way, and that broke off. It should look like that. We want this upgraded valve body to live in here. I'm gonna try to clean this case. I will probably take the not as disgusting little brackets over, and then also, remember how the Lexus is manually shifted? You see a potential small problem there? Memory is, I just unbolt it and bolt it on. That's what I remember. I am sure just because of how this has treated me, it's not been nice to me. For some reason, it's not gonna work that way. I hope it is gonna be nice and smooth, and it's just gonna be zip off bolts, and whoop. But it's not going to. I just, it's one of those feelings you get, you know. Also, since we do need to take the shift rod out, we need to disconnect and remove our position sensor. There's lots of little things. I am probably gonna swap bell housings as well. It's a really easy job. This is just clean, doesn't have the corrosion. They're designed to be very easily interchangeable. So we're gonna combine a thing and hopefully have a working transmission soon. Because I've got sports cars to build, but you take care of the good people.
Come here, close my eyes. The universe
I knew these rods obviously had to come out. I opened up the parts diagram and it did confirm there is a roll pin. But the thing I kept beating on, like in my head I knew it was wrong. I've done this job before. I should remember it. I know you guys have been there before where you've done something a bunch and it should just come to you, but it doesn't. Doesn't matter how long I kept trying to drive on that dimple. This is a spacer. It's also to keep a roll pin from falling out. That is just a dimple. You drill that out, you spin it, reveal the roll pin, then I tap it enough to make the impression on the opposite side, drill that, and then drive the roll pin out. And then ideally you would replace this, but you can also rotate it and pin it in a different orientation that will basically take care of you. So I'm gonna go down one drill bit size. Golly, these clean cuts make short work of that. Spin it. Oh, look, it's a roll pin. How much you want to bet it goes a whole lot smoother? But just where everything fights, it's okay, it happens. Now, oh, well that one just punched through. I didn't even have to do a second drill. Not gonna argue about that. So much easier than what I was doing. I knew it. It just, sometimes it be that way, and that's okay. A little tappy tap. Oh man, that was way harder than it needed to be. I think my problem is I keep in my head setting goals of getting this done quickly, and I shouldn't. Just be like, whatever, it gets done when it gets done. I'm a firm believer, cars have personalities. I know there's arguments for and against car souls. I don't know, whatever you feel on that. I sure as heck feel like they have more than just being pure inanimate objects. Recent Mighty Car Mods, Toyota Dave, was very anti cars being anything more than just machines. Which I don't know if that's fair. These things are companions to us. They do a whole lot. Alright, so hammering her down, we gotta sink it just a little bit. Alright, repinned. We got a good shaft. We are back in business, friends. So, these are your clutch stacks. Now I'm gonna be building a 727 for the satellite where we're gonna build everything. So we're gonna get into a lot more depth later for that. But what you can do, make sure the tip's clean. And what I did, and I was kind of worried initially, is you can separate these and get rough clutch pack air gaps. And when you're building it, you would actually come in and measure each of these. But you can see these are pretty tight. Make sure all those O-rings are sitting in a good spot for when we go to put it together. Well, if we come over here and we go to measure, that one's still pretty good, but that one borderline excessive, this one very excessive, and back here way excessive. I was hoping it was going to be close. They felt loose, but you know, borderline, like maybe it'd be okay. But that's why we're here. We're getting it right now. So you've seen me put a valve body on, so I'm going to go ahead and just get that dropped back on. It is so much easier, obviously, with it upside down. All of these just naturally want to sit where they want. That stays in its home nice and easy. You're not working over your head. Way easier to do that complex valve body repair. So we got a good shaft on it. We're going to get the valve body on it. We're going to get the pan tightened back up, roll it over, clean the exterior. Then I got to run and get the sealant and stuff for our rear transfer case adapter. And we'll get it, put it back in. I'm only about 5 hours behind where I wanted to be, just because I'm dumb, forgot some simple stuff, but
I remembered, and we're still fixing it. And it's a whole lot less rusty.
The transmission's out, so let's try to fix this oil leak. Now, one thing I did want to make sure to point out and share with you guys, if you're ever doing a Toyota V8, any of them, the likelihood of a rear main seal is pretty small. Now, this is some type of aftermarket seal, so that might actually be leaking, but most of your leaks is actually going to be the silicone on this rear main plate, and there's an O-ring right here. Those are the two biggest culprits of oil seal leaks on these V8s. So if all you do is slam a new gasket in, you didn't fix anything, you're gonna end up needing to redo the silicone. It's the #1 cause. To getting that back in there, all clean and together with the right adapters on it, filling up that torque converter. Well, good morning. Would you look at that? There is a transmission back in the hole. We've got a bunch of stuff connected, and this is kind of where I wanted to give you a couple quick tips. If you're working on one of these, or really any transmission, before you lock it in place, when you have the most room on top, get all your electrical connectors plugged in. Make sure they're laid in the right spot, or you're gonna cut your hands up a whole lot. Also, trans cooler lines, especially on Toyotas where they're fully thread in and not snap in, they can be a nightmare. Disconnect your pins where it mounts along the block. That's gonna give you the most movement so you can get them in and get it right. Absolutely worth it. Also, if you're working on one of these, our next part to go on is gonna be our exhaust, even without the cross member. We're gonna get the exhaust because it lives above it, makes it easiest to get all of that situated. Once the exhaust is in, we're gonna go ahead and hit up our front prop shaft. Then we can finally do our cross member, rear prop shaft, fill it with oil, and please have a working transmission. I don't see why it wouldn't. So let's get wrenching. Okay, I saw all of you guys in the comments. Jared, you should polish the headlights too. I'm just trying to make the transmission work, but you're right, they look pretty rough. Let's see if we can get any color back. We're gonna do the 3 polish sandpaper, 800, 1200, 2000, then some compound polish. They tell you don't have to do it wet. I definitely prefer a little bit of lubricant moisture. So when you're doing this, the first couple layers of the plastic is usually what yellows on you. You can end up with a headlight that actually yellows from the inside out. At that point, you'll just need to re-lens it. I hope this starts coming around a little better. I'm getting scared. All our yellows on the inside. Now, if you're buying a kit, probably the most important thing for you to remember to look at, does it come with any type of UV protectant for when you're done? Because what causes this is the good old sun just baking down and distorting and discoloring our plastics. So, if you do all of this, but then you don't come back and do any type of treatment, it's gonna yellow really quickly. Also, this is just water. All right, we're gonna get some back. That's not gonna be amazing. It's not gonna be like, ooh, brand new. But I feel like it's gonna be good enough. And given how bad it was, I feel like pretty good's acceptable, right? There's where we're at right now. Versus where we started. Just for a quick little bonus, I feel like we're gonna do good. So last step, we're gonna apply the UV coating to this, because again, if you're doing headlights, if you don't do any coating, you're not actually doing anything helpful, you're making it worse. So treat this plastic, do it one more time, and then you're gonna join me inside the truck where it's gonna drive right. It should drive right. I don't, if it doesn't work, I don't know.
Well, we're starting outside, which is already a better sign than last test drive. I went ahead and put it on the converter in reverse just to see what would happen, and it bowed up fully on the converter. Reverse is holding strong, so fingers crossed. We're going down the road. I wonder if that was Dwayne beeping right there. Oh, car wizard. We disconnected the battery. One, just to be safe while working on the transmission, and also so we could make sure all the adaptations were forgotten out of the computer. But if you jump in and suddenly none of your windows work from your master switch, you need to, especially when they're all auto up and down, you need to initialize each window from that window switch. And the way you do that is you will press and hold down, keep it held, let it hit the bottom, count 1 second, 2 if you want to be careful, press and hold all the way up, count 2 seconds, boom, initialized. Once you do each individual window, then your window master switch will work again. Reverse, neutral drive. Oh, please. For Scotty's sake, he needs his vehicle back. Okay. Well, I do believe we're going down the road with... Well, almost. It just came out of overdrive and dropped back in. What? I'm not panicked yet. It was misbehaving so badly before, I'm hoping that there was still some air in the valve body. It hadn't fully circulated out. And since that was the first time it got to engage that, other possibility is gear position selector electronics is off just the tiniest bit. 1 through 4 is perfect. Why is 5th being weird? We're gonna drive for a little bit, put some miles on it, see what the computer comes up with. Good news, it's hydraulic control. Not good news, we can pull the valve body in car and take another 13 fluid showers.
Welcome back to the shop a couple hours after that drive. Everything felt great. You could stomp the gas, go 1, 2, 3, 4 beautifully, hesitated really bad, get into 5th gear, would not slip at all once it was in. It just had a 4 to 5 flare. Get it into reverse. Reverse locks up, drove beautifully. Everything was perfect. But that 4-5 flare concerned me. It's been a while that I've messed around with these a whole lot. So I got it back in the shop and I was like, okay, maybe I got something wrong in the valve body. I'm not perfect. I strive to be, but we'll never hit that mark. It's just do your best. So I threw the valve body that was originally in the transmission back in it, the non-upgraded one. I took it for a drive. Kind of was sloppy, lazy. It held gears, but it wasn't crisp. and was really slow 4 to 5. It had that flare. Bring it back, put the new valve body back in it, check the fluid levels, and then I did what I should have done right away and redouble check with our friend Dr. Google and research the problem a little bit rather than just instantly tearing into a whole lot of work. A 4.5 flare like we're getting is not uncommon to these transmissions, especially when they've had all their adaptations reset. You know how we reset all the adaptations? We told the computer forget what you knew how to shift because we knew the old trans was bad. Start fresh, learn new. That looks like our culprit. Generally speaking, the way a transmission shifts, there's almost always some type of clutch engaged in some way through all of the shifts. In this transmission, when it shifts from 4th gear to 5th gear, everything goes to neutral. Every clutch, every brake band, everything releases, and then it reapplies because there's enough parts all having to change directions inside that it needs that slight pause. So it's a nature of that shift. It's always slower, but it should get better. But regardless, I'm gonna drive it a couple days before we give it back to Scotty just to make sure, because I don't want it breaking down on him. I don't think it will, but that is where we're at. We now have a mostly happy running driving with better looking headlights because you guys guilted me into it. Lexus for our good friend Scotty. We're gonna be able to get it back to him. And no, his wife and daughter are gonna be safe, mostly because of, you know, that tie rod that was 2 hard stops away from like braking and crashing. But it now has a good transmission. We got good brakes, new caliper, front suspension bits. Now, one other thing I did, because I like to confirm diagnoses when possible, we had a broken transmission on the table. That's our C3. That is sort of a clutch disc and a steel. What's left? No, that's just the innards of a clutch disc. That is completely shot. One reason I decided to go ahead and pop it out is I looked through that hole a little closer and I could see the heat in our drum there. So I decided to pop it off a little bit more and you can see our heat again. So I am not a big fan of using drums that have had a lot of heat in them. So realistically, replacing them would be ideal, along with all the other soft parts. But it is nice that we looked at our flow chart, we looked at our symptoms, and were able to identify the mechanical failure without even taking the transmission apart. So flow charts, incredibly valuable. I hope you guys learned a little bit. We were able to muscle our way through some transmission problems and get a friend back on the road. But I hope if you are ever in a position that you can help out a friend who's got some problems, do it. It makes you feel good, it's fun, and you know, sometimes it's a little stressful, but we get it done. We get this Lexus back on the road. I hope you guys really look seriously at some of those simple valve body upgrades. I know it's still scary to look inside one, but you're gonna keep these transmissions working a whole lot longer, and you're gonna be a little bit closer to traditional Toyota reliability by doing these upgrades. They get a little bit of slop, a little bit of wear, a little bit of fatigue, and you blow up a C3 clutch really quickly. That's gonna do it. We're gonna go from the Lexus back to our crazy projects. I'm not sure which one's next, if we're gonna do a little bit more limo work, if we're gonna, I don't know if I have my rear end measurements yet on the satellite. We'll get back on that. I've got a Porsche out there I'm trying to figure out on the engine. It's looking like I'm gonna have to spend more than I did on the car for an engine. So I'm trying to come up with a good idea for that. If you got Porsche engine ideas, let me know. What else? We got drift cars. We got all kinds of cool stuff coming up. So I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices and make sure your fluid level's right so you don't burn up your C3. I should have thought better. I'm tired. The brain's not working. I did way too much work. I should have just looked at the internet. And that was not a witty ending because I'm rambling. See you next time.